Most wholesalers think nationwide is how you scale. More markets, more leads, more contracts, more deals, right? Completely fucking wrong. For a lot of wholesalers, going nationwide is not scaling, it is multiplying complexity. And if you don't have the infrastructure to handle that complexity, you don't scale, you collapse. Because on paper, nationwide wholesaling looks awesome, look amazing. Your cost per lead looks cheaper. Your cost per contract look lower. Your CRM looks busier. Your acquisition team is locking up more contracts. Everybody feels like something is happening. But under the surface, your fallout rate explodes. Your team slow down because morale goes down. Your dispo team get overwhelmed because they don't have any buyers in the areas you're locking up contracts. And your acquisition people start second guessing their deals and your actual revenue stop. Then you sit there confused thinking like, why am I working more but making less? That's a trap, guys. Nationwide wholesaling makes you feel like you're growing because there's more activity, but activity is not revenue. Contracts is not revenue. Leads is not revenue. Closed deals is revenue. And if nationwide gives you more leads but fewer closing, you didn't scale. You just created a bigger mess. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the real downside of going nationwide too early, why it destroy productivity, why cheap contracts can be expensive deals, and when it actually makes sense to go nationwide without wrecking your business. I'm Courtney Scott, the Cowboy Marketer. I've worked with over 400 real estate investors and have scaled over $20 million in ad spend and helped generate over $82 million in assignment fees for wholesalers nationwide. Most wholesalers don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they make the wrong scaling decisions. They go nationwide too early. Instead of building a more bigger business, they build a more complicated business. That's the difference. A bigger business has more system. A more complicated business has more problems. And the people that confuse the two, nationwide is not bad. Premature nationwide is terrible. Let me be clear. Nationwide wholesaling is not bad, but premature nationwide is bad. There are people who crush nationwide. There are operators who do extremely well in multiple states. There are companies that can go broad, handle the volume, still get deals to the closing table, but they usually have infrastructure. They have buyers, backup buyers, company systems, dispo process, market data, team capacity, and redundancies. That is not the same as a one-person, two-person, three-person team saying we're profitable in one market, so let's go nationwide. That's the mistake. You're copying the outcome instead of copying the infrastructure. It's like looking at a 20-person team that's running nationwide and saying, I can do that with me, one VA, and a Google Sheet. Maybe, eventually, but not at first. That's why this video is not anti-nationwide. It's anti-going wide before you're ready. Because when you go nationwide, before your systems can support it, the market exposes everything, weaknesses you have. If your company is weak, nationwide makes it worse. If your dispo is fucking weak, nationwide makes it worse. If your follow-up is weak, nationwide make it worse. And if your team is already stretched nationwide, guess what? Not make it worse, it fucking breaks it. That's the real con. Nationwide does not create your problems, it multiplies them. Con number one, your fallout rate skyrockets. That's the biggest con of nationwide wholesaling. It's simple. And this is the part that tricks people. My cost per lead is cheaper. My cost per contractor is lower. I'm getting more volume, so you think I'm winning, but not measuring the right thing. The only metric that really matter is that cost per closed deal, not cost per lead, not cost per contract, cost per closed deal, because contracts don't pay you, closings do. A lot of wholesalers get addicted to cheap contracts. Oh, I just locked up this deal right here in this market. And I locked up this deal in this market. It's tiring. They say I can get contracts nationwide for $1,000. Okay, cool. Who couldn't? Especially in the rural areas. We all can get contracts there because no one want to target there. But there's a reason why. Because they're going to fall out because there's no buyer activity. But how many of those contracts actually close? 6 out of 10 die. So that's $1,000 per contract. but it's not really $1,000. So you multiply that to, hey, 60 of their deals fall out. So it's a $4,000 cost per closed deal. That's insane. But people don't think about it like that. But the deals that did fall through, your acquisition guys was waiting on those commissions. The dispo team was waiting on those commissions. Now morale is down. Now you compare that to a local market. Maybe local costs about $2,500 a contract. But most of those deals actually go to the closing table because you know the markets, you know the buyers, you know the process, you can control the process. Now your real cost per closed deal might be $2,500 to $3,000. So nationwide was not cheaper. It only looked cheaper because you did not count the dead fucking contract. And that's the key. Nationwide looks cheap up front, but it's very expensive on the back end. It's like buying cheap inventory that doesn't sell. On paper, it looks like it's a deal. In reality, your cash is stuck in something that nobody wants. That's what a bad nationwide contract is. It looks like an asset, but if it doesn't close, it's a liability. It takes time, takes effort, takes dispo bandwidth. It creates seller's frustration, team confusion, and it doesn't pay you. That is why the cost per contract itself is a dangerous metric. The real question is, what does it cost me to get a deal that closes? That's how operators think. Con number 2, acquisition complexity goes up. You're running a small team. Maybe it's you and one VA. Maybe it's a small acquisition team. Maybe you have one dispo person. Now you decide, hey, dude, let's go nationwide. Hey, everyone's talking about nationwide. Cost per lead is way cheaper. Sounds exciting, right? But instead of one market, you're dealing with 10 markets, 20 markets, 50 markets. Cost per lead go from $300 to $200 to $100 to $10. And each market has its own rules. Own buyers, different comping, non-disclosure states, property type, different pricings, hot pockets, dead zones. And your acquisition team is no longer just selling on the call trying to get the contract up. They're learning, hey, I got to be able to comp this property. How do I comp a property in Texas when I'm used to comping properties in Alabama? Geography, they learn the different geographies, buyers' behaviors, and they also learn at market risk, which counties have activity, which ones are dead, and they're just on the call, just all confused. That is a lot of load. And they don't have the tools, the trainings, a process to handle that. Productivity drops before revenue increases. That's part most people don't understand. They think going nationwide means more leads equals more deals. But what often happens is more leads equals more confusion. More markets equals more second guessing. More contract equals terrible comping. More activities equals lower productivity. That's not scale, that's drag. Going nationwide too early is like trying to learn 10 languages at the same time. You learn a little bit of Spanish, hola, a little bit of French, oui, German, I don't know, that's in the German, Italian, pizza. And after a few months, you don't actually speak any of them well. That's what happened with markets. You know a little bit about Texas, cool. You know a little bit about Florida, great. A little bit about Alabama, a little bit about Ohio, non-disclosure states, but you haven't built a big enough buyer list. So if I get a deal, I know I can get this bad boy disposed in this location. That what stresses your team out because they got to worry about, hey, is this a great zip code? Do I have buyers here? Can this deal actually get disposed? Because the last 5 deals actually freaking fell through, especially if it's a commission only acquisition guy, he's going to be wanting his commission. So stop guessing and stay in your market. Con number 3, you start comping with hope. This is where wholesale deals actually die. In acquisition, dispo. Locally, dispo is easier because you know your buyers. Who buys rentals? Who buys flips? Who wants heavy rehabs? Who want light rehabs? Who close fast? Who wastes time? Who performs? Who you can get a deal disposed to in 7 days, right? When you're a local company, a local deal, you're not asking, what is this property worth? You're asking, what do I got to get this property at for John to buy this property? Because this is his ideal property. That's a completely different level of clarity and certainty. You are comping with a buyer in mind. You already know this. If I get this property at this number, John will probably take it. That's better than saying, hey, let me just get it for this price here. Terrible thinking. This is how deals close. Now compare that to nationwide. You lock up a deal in the random market in the boonies in Texas just to post it on Instagram. Now what? You don't know any buyers. You don't know the demand. You don't know the pricing. You don't know who closes. You don't know, hey, should we just do a novation? Let's just put it on the market. Sellers pissed that you put their house on the market. Now your dispo team has to go and find buyers from scratch, post in Facebook groups, text random peoples, pull a cash buyers list, start from zero, send deals everywhere, hoping someone performs. That's not scaling. That's introducing failure point. Locally, good operators comp with the buyers in mind. Nationwide, weak operators comp with hope. They say this looked cheap enough, somebody will buy it. That is not a dispo strategy. That is hope. Hope is not a business model, unless it's your fucking business model. Yes, sometimes it works. Sometimes a deal is so good that a buyer shows up, but if your entire model depends on you getting lucky, you are not scaling, you're gambling. If you want to go nationwide, you need to have a system and a process in place to helping you find buyers when it's time to get those deals closed and funded. Text blast, how to pull a buyer list. You need to be very efficient, because if you are locking up all these deals and all these deals are falling through the crack, your acquisition guy will be pissed, your dispo person will be pissed, because they are waiting on that commission. You got to have those backup options. That's infrastructure. Without it, your dispo team becomes a firefighter. Every deal is a fire. Every buyer is uncertain. Every closing feels fragile. You're worried about deals falling through. That is exhausting. Rural and C market deals can actually trick you. Another thing that happens with nationwide is you start getting deals in rural areas or smaller markets. I'm not saying B and C markets are bad. Some people are often good at them, but they know how to do it. They perfect it. I had this one client, he's been our client for a long time. He's really good at getting those hidden markets because he knows how to comp the properties. He knows exactly how to look at the demand different. He said the whole model was different. They know how to look for the buyer pool, see exactly, can this property get sold, and see exactly what price, because that's all they've done. They know those markets. Sometimes it's wide open because there's no activity, no buyers, no demand, no exits. No one is competing there because no one wants it. That's a difference. A property can be cheap and still not a deal. A seller can be motivated and still not produce a closing. A contract can look good and still impossible to move. That is what catches people. They lock up the deal because the seller is flexible. They get excited because the spread looks big, but the deal actually falls through. So if you don't know the markets, you don't know the smaller markets, you can't actually get the deals to the finish line. You don't know how to comp the properties, get them where you're at. You don't want to hire an actual realtor. You want to use flat fee. It's a whole different process. Not everyone is confused, but the market was telling you the truth the whole time. Low competition does not always mean opportunity. Sometimes it means dangers. If you're a wholesaler who needs motivated sellers coming in consistently, that's where I come in. We help real estate investors and wholesalers build marketing systems that don't just bring in random form-filled leads. They bring in motivated sellers into your pipelines with real intent. My team has worked with over 400 wholesalers and helped generate over more than $82 million in assignment fees nationwide. So when you're ready to get more motivated sellers into your pipeline, book a call below. Now back to the value. Con number 5, your team get busy but not productive. This is one of the biggest hidden costs in nationwide wholesaling. Can make your team is less productive, not because they're lazy, but because the business become harder to operate. Acquisition spends more time understanding the markets. Dispo spend more time trying to find buyers. Leadership spend more time trying to solve expectations. More contracts requires extra validation. More sellers need to be managed. More things fall through the fucking cracks. Not everyone is busy, but not everyone is productive. That's dangerous because busy feels like progress. But if closings don't increase, it's not progress. Guys, I'll be the first one to tell you that. I've seen a lot of guys come in here and thinking they're getting deals under contract, so they're making progress. No, this is what nationwide tricks business owners. The team is working hard, the CRM is full, your pipeline look good, you have a lot of contracts, but nothing doesn't move. Why? Because productivity got eaten by complexity. They're spending time chasing deals that were never really deals. They're posting in groups, calling buyers, recomping properties, trying to save these freaking bad contracts, explaining delays to sellers, renegotiating deals that they should have never signed. But not all of that work creates revenue. Nationwide can create a lot of work that looks like progress, but does not produce profit. This is one of the biggest cons. Con number 6, morale collapse. This is the part nobody talks about. Fallout rate does not just kill your fucking revenue. It also kills morale. Your acquisition locks up a deal. You give him 20%, he locks up a deal for 25 grand. He thinks, oh, I'm gonna make 5K. Get another one, oh, I'm gonna make 10K. And get another one, I'm gonna make 15K. So he started counting his commissions before they actually hit. It says his wife's birthday. It's his kid's birthday. 2 months later hit, the deal falls through. Commission's gone. Motivation's gone. Confidence gone. Best believe that guy is gone. He probably was a fucking A player. Now imagine that happens over and over and over again. What does your team start believing? Man, I need 10 contracts just to get 1 to 3 deals to close. Like, that shifts literally their whole belief system. They stop trusting the pipeline. They start changing behaviors. They rush volume because quality feels meaningless. Like they just locking things up because they're thinking, hey, I don't need to get good quality contracts. I just need to get contracts. They care less about each deal because they will assume they will die. Dispo gets annoyed because acquisition keep bringing them even weaker contracts. Acquisition gets annoyed because Dispo can't move the deals. Leaderships get frustrated because revenue is inconsistent. Now the culture starts shifting. This is dangerous because the team stops believing contracts are real. The whole business slow down. This is not just a sales problem. It's a business model problem. And the business owner caused it by choosing a model the team wasn't built to handle yet. That's the hard truth to admit it, but it's true. When you go nationwide too early, you're not just changing lead flow. You're changing team psychology. You're switching it up. Why people make this mistake. So why do people go nationwide early? Usually these 3 reasons. Ego, cheap leads, comparison. They see a lower CPL with someone else, think cheaper cost per contract, think they're going to make a bigger return, but cheaper only matters if the deal closes. They want to say they're nationwide. They want to feel like they're scaling. They want a big business before they have a strong business. And that's a dangerous order. Then they compare themselves to someone else. They see someone is doing nationwide and think, I should do that too. And I could tell you guys for a 100% fact that most of the guys that are posting on their Instagram contract locked up, they're not actually fucking doing deals, because the guys that are doing deals, our clients we work with and the clients that we see that are actually killing it, they're not posting that they're locking up contracts. They're just closing fucking deals, because we all know I need to see your HUDs to see that you're actually kicking ass being bad. We don't care about your contracts. But you don't see all that. You don't see the real results. So you go and copy the strategy without the foundation and infrastructure. You're going off a whim that you think they're locking these deals up, or you think they're closing these deals when they're just locking them up. And that's a terrible strategy. So ask yourself, deeper versus wider. Before going nationwide, there are only 2 moves. Go deep or go wide. I'm not talking about with your mom. That means deeper means same market, more channels, more certainty. Wide means new markets, new buyers, new problems. Most wholesalers go wide because they haven't fully gone deeper. They're profitable on Facebook at one market and immediately say, hey, let's expand the markets. But they haven't tested Google yet. They haven't tested mailers. They haven't improved follow-up, built a stronger local brand, done billboards. They haven't actually captivated their market. They're thinking, hey, let's go broader to get a cheaper cost per lead. They haven't expanded into the neighboring counties. They haven't even maximized their buyers' relationships. They haven't improved conversations to squeeze every opportunity out of that market they already is in. And that's the fucking mistake. Going deeper means same market, more volume, more certainty. Going wider means new market, more complexity, less certainty. What would you choose? And if you don't have the team to handle that complexity, you should probably go deeper first. Because it's like sharpening your knife versus buying more knives. A sharp knife cuts better than 10 fucking dull knives. Just create more mess. Most wholesalers don't need more knives. They need to sharpen the ones they already have. You're doing deals in your market. Try a new channel in your market. Because when nationwide actually makes sense, nationwide makes sense. Not ambition, infrastructure. You should go nationwide when you have strong local market mastery, a proven dispo system, buyers relationship, backup buyers. You know how to comp in different areas. You have the team capacity. You have follow-ups. You want a lead manager. Whatever you think you need to be able to validate these deals before you celebrate them. Because if you don't have any of those things, nationwide would expose you. But if you have the system, going wide can be powerful. You can access more seller pools, you can get more volume, you can get more opportunities, and you can scale faster. But only if the foundation is this. That's the order. Foundation first, expansion second. Most people reverse it. Expansion, then foundation. And that's why they get crushed. So when you're sitting down there thinking, should you go nationwide? Ask yourself, do I have enough contracts, deal closed? Do I have buyers in that market that I'm entering? Can I comp confidently in this market right here? Is there demand? Will it be stressful on my team? Can my acquisition team handle multiple markets? Can my dispo team move different deals without just guessing? Can my dispo team actually find me new buyers to help me get these deals dispoed fast? Can I afford a higher fallout rate during the learning curve? Do I actually need deals to come in? Do I have enough money inside of my business bank account to actually make sure these deals last me while we figure this thing out? So if the answer is no to any of those, go deeper, add more channels in your market, improve your conversions, build a bigger buyer list, strengthen dispo, master the markets you've already understand. And then you go wide. But I'm not saying just instantly go wide. Go to the neighboring county. If you are in Harris County, you should not be saying, I'm going nationwide. You should be saying, all right, Harris County. Now I'm going to the neighboring counties. I'm going to go to Galveston County. I'm going to go to Montgomery County. Then once you got that, you say, hey, I want to also touch Dallas. And then that's how you add on more markets. You don't just go say, hey, I'm in Harris County. Now I want to go nationwide. Because expanding too early, you will lose momentum, lose confidence, and your team will lose belief in you. So you lose way more money than you thought. Nationwide does not scale beginner. It exposes you. And don't go nationwide to get you. Please don't go nationwide because someone else is doing it. Go nationwide when you feel that you can handle the complexity. Until then, go deeper first. If this video helped you avoid that costly mistake of going nationwide, I want you to subscribe, comment what wholesaling strategy you want me to break down next. Peace.